guys, Texas Slim. I'm in Austin, Texas. I've been planes, trains, and automobiles lately. No trains yet. I guess those are coming. It is, I don't even know what day it is, but it's Monday. I flew in from Charlotte last night, give you kind of an update on everything. Went out to Charlotte, did a Bitcoin meetup. It's called Halloween with Liz and Jacob. Those guys established Charlotte Bitcoin. And they invited me out there, and we had a Cattleman's feast. It was the first one we've done. We're going to be having a lot more of those. Also, before I flew out of Austin, but what I did is I went through Lubbock, Texas, and I went and saw Holy Cow, Ann and Weldon. They're part of the Beef Initiative now. So once again, a lot of traveling, stopping off here tonight, recording this podcast with Def. You guys know him as Talking Bits, of course. He's in Austin now. He relocated to the magical city of Austin. But we decided that we wanted to do a rip on the podcast and kind of let everybody know what's going on, where we've come from, where we are right now, and then where we're going. I've been doing this for about 3 years, and everything that I've done up to this point was really kind of gunslinging, as my parents like to say. Is like, oh shit, here he goes. Once I get started, I really kind of hit it full bore, and it got us to here. But it's time to kind of circle our wagons, kind of define our narratives to increase the signal. We're getting some good attention from a lot of like-minded people, and I want to really be responsible towards that. This is not a marketing plan. This is not a LARPing thing. We have to watch that. There's plenty of LARPers in social media, a lot of LARPers in Bitcoin. There's a lot of LARPers in the beef industry. A lot of the people that are you buy your beef from today are nothing but LARPers. But what we want to do is establish a foundation of trust and transparency. And, I tie into my roots a lot whenever I talk to you guys. And I never scripted out anything. Everything comes from the top of my head, and because it's its only way to deliver the message. And whenever I started with food intelligence, it was because of a life threatening ordeal that I had to go through. We're going to be releasing that podcast somewhat soon. I guess you could somewhat say it's like a testimonial of Texas Slim. It's like I am Texas Slim, and the reason I do what I do, where I come from, the life and death battles that I've had. Everybody's had them, maybe some people haven't, but I think a few of you out there can probably relate that this is purpose-driven. I've got a lot of first principles that are associated with my language, with my content, and with my actions. And so been somewhat mysterious, up to this point. Kind of some of it's fun, some of it's the art of war of information. We are in a war of information. If you're not aware of that, I think you should kind of focus in a little bit more. There's a lot of complacency out there with a lot of things that are going on within our food systems. It's driven by a yearning for convenience. It has now got us into a situation that this nation is failing. And one thing that we are doing is we're failing our children. It's that simple. And that's if everybody will go, and they can pause this right now and go look in the mirror and say, what am I doing to exacerbate this? What am I doing based on convenience of being a parent? It's not easy being a parent. I'm a parent. Def is a parent. Most of my friends are. At some point in time, a lot of people get to be parents. We're all children. We all have this purity of innocence that gets stolen through corruption and deceptions as we grow older. That's why we have suffering. But before that, with the purity of innocence, you have something called the purity of joy. And I've done a lot of studying in psychological behaviors. My roots gave me a lot of skill sets in agriculture and ranching. My development as a professional into big tech gave me a lot of study and analysis, behavioral analysis, technology analysis, research, and analysis. So I have a big tool set that I can pull from. And right now, I believe that we've lost the purity of innocence as adults, and we've definitely stolen the purity of innocence of a couple of generations of children. They actually have no way of knowing that there's a better way out there to live this life. And the reason they don't is because we're going through as a nation a form of nutritional suffering, a nutritional starvation that this world has never seen on this level. A lot of people can't understand because we look like we're overfed and we're nutritionally starved. And the people that are paying the biggest price for that are our children. So to be transparent, as I started this podcast with, if you want to know my intentions and why I do what I do, it's basically so we can reverse the plight of children that have been stolen from. We as adults, we need to go and, like I say, stand in front of that accountability mirror. Over 3 years ago, I made a promise to myself, a sacred promise to create a sacred journey that would be my life's mission, basically, is to foster a way that we can turn the plight of these children around. And then to do that, we have to turn the plight of the adults around that are basically stewarding our children in this nation. There's a global industrial food shift that is happening right now. And therefore, this last 3 years, I've had many nicknames, but the one that's always stuck, and it was given to me by my mother, was Slim, Texas Slim. That's the name my mother gave me. It was kind of a funny story, and I'll tell that story at another time. But, I am Texas Slim has a bigger meaning than me trying to show that I have some type of ego, which I do not approach anything. I'm very aware of not having a false ego in these days and times in the state of affairs in which we live in. I think it's dangerous, and it steals from me, myself, as far as the purity of innocence that I'm really striving to make everybody maybe have a reflection of. And so I Am Texas Slim will now be called, or this podcast will now be called I Am Texas Slim instead of Texas Slim's Vision. I Am Texas Slim is a signal. It is a narrative. It is a definition. It is a defining moment for a lot of people. And I can let you in on a few situations to where I came to this conclusion. A lot of you guys have been emailing me saying, "Hey man, you've really changed how my family eats. You've really helped our ranch out. Now we're actually increasing our herd. You've changed my life. I had a life-threatening illness, and by listening to you and the type of food intelligence, I am Texas Slim now." So it was kind of a holistic collective moment to where we, the team that, do this podcast, the volunteers that have helped and have kind of created, a staple of meaning and value within this podcast, that we thought, well, let's just call it I Am Texas Slim. Here's a quick story for you. When I started out on this journey, the sacred journey that I went on, I embedded myself in a harvest company. I embedded myself in several different companies. I come from big tech. I embedded myself in a marketing company for a newspaper, global. Anyways, it's one of those stories. But the one story I want to tell you about is feeding the homeless. And what a lot of people don't understand is, I ask people this all the time: what is poverty? I'm asking you right now, what is poverty? Can you define it? Poverty is nothing more than nutritional starvation. Nutritional starvation is nothing but poverty. And whenever you have one, you're going to have the other. What we have now, many, many homeless people across the United States. So at one point in time, I was feeding over 250 homeless people a week. And it was through a community program, which churches get together and distribution centers, give over their leftover food that they can't get rid of. And so I wanted to see what we were feeding the downtrodden of this nation. What we were feeding and what we are feeding to this day is poison. And basically, whenever you're stuck in nutritional starvation, when you're stuck in poverty, whenever you are homeless and you're relying on other humans to feed you, what are we doing? Are we making it better for these people that are nutritionally starved in this form of poverty? Well, I worked some deals, and for it was close to a year, I helped feed the homeless. Well, once a week, we fed them. At this time, we fed them twice. I got to where we could feed them pure animal protein once a week. And I'll let you know, the homeless people in which we fed once a week pure animal protein from basically beef from somebody that I made a connection with, that was the best day of the week for the people that were homeless, that were suffering from poverty due to nutritional starvation. That one day a week was the best day of their lives. Each week, they look forward to it. There's Slim. He's bringing us the best day that we have. It was based on nutrition. It wasn't based on money. It wasn't based on weather. It wasn't based on new third-hand, second-hand clothes. It was based on somebody being able to eat a fajita, a hamburger. They could feel it. They could feel the clean food. It made them feel wealthy. Their spirit had a chance. I've seen it. I've seen it, people with jaundice in their eyes look at me and say, thank you, because they knew that they were going to get to feel good that day just because they were consuming something that was full of energy. It gave them a chance to feel what energy feels like again. That's just one of my stories that you'll be able to hear on I Am Texas Slim. And I want everybody across the world to make I Am Texas Slim a household name. And with the intentions of saying, well, it creates a conversation. It's a way to establish strong relationships. It's a way to actually save the purity of innocence of the children of this nation. We have a lot of tools in our tool belt. We have a lot of skill sets that the adults that come into the Beef Initiative bring forth with the like mindset. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a tool that we're educating with, that we're pioneering into, and that we're basically creating an ethos of decentralization, transparency, honesty, truth, a store of ledger, a store of value. There's so many things that we can pull from the tools that we have stacked into our tool set. And now it's time for me to ask you, why are you here? What are your intentions? I tell everybody, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a LARPer. I've dedicated my life to do this. I liquidated everything that I owned. Wasn't a rich man, but I had a little bit of cash. I got started, and I didn't define basically what this was going to be. I just created a destination in my head, and the destination is I Am Texas Slim. And what we're going to do with that is, because it's something that flows, everybody, each one of you, each individual, each sovereign-minded individual, each sovereign individual out there that has already accomplished their sovereignty, everybody that is striving for that independence of spirit and that purity of innocence, well, now we get to say, I'm Texas Slim. We started with pure animal protein here in the state of Texas, Lone Star. We're going to learn about Texas history. We're going to learn how Texas once fed a nation. You hear me talk about 1878. It's when Texas actually decided that we needed to feed a nation with our cattle. There's so many things that have gone missed in our society, within our history. There's so many things that are getting erased. And I always tell everybody, get to the source of the seed. I believe we've got to the source of the seed of the issues. 88% of Americans right now are metabolically bankrupt. Only 12% of Americans can say that they have metabolical health. Those statistics come from the same people that engineer the suffering in the United States. It comes from the chemical companies. It comes from the multinational processing grain companies. It comes from the global corporations that are trying to create a one world food group. All this intelligence that they put in our front of our face as far as climate change, as far as having to eat different types of proteins, the people that just basically created a marketing plan to think that everybody was going to die because of a virus. All of this intelligence comes from the same apparatus that has actually created this nutritional starvation. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, we don't have to ask for permission anymore. We're not going to ask for permission anymore. And we've got a hell of a tool set in which we're going to engineer maybe our own suffering a little bit. Therefore, we will not have that suffering engineered upon us anymore. We're going to do it in a decentralized way. We can call it, 2.0. Here we go. We're going to release I Am Texas Slim podcast as 2.0. What got us here was Texas Slim's vision. And we have a team. We have a international spotlight, it looks like. I will be going to Australia. I'll be going to Thailand, hopefully going to South America, California. Flying out to Idaho this week. Just got back from North Carolina. We're going to Tennessee. I'm in Texas all the time, all over Texas. We can go across this world, and what we can say is, each of us, we can say, I am Texas Slim. Within the Beef Initiative, I am the co-founder of the Beef Initiative, and the Beef Initiative is now feeding a nation. We're going to begin competing with the likes of Whole Foods, with the likes of Butcher Box. Each one of those companies, they serve a purpose, but what they are not fully is transparent. They are a fiat-backed marketing plan for the most part. They do rely on a form of commodity and subsidies, and that which has gotten us here within the Beef Initiative, or the beef industry, I'm sorry. Within the Beef Initiative, you know exactly where your beef is coming from, how that beef was stewarded, the basically from the soil to your fork. You will never have any questions. We've pioneered into an apparatus that is very difficult. Most companies fail. One of the reasons that we've had this success is that people are looking for authenticity within their food and within their lifestyles. One thing that I'm going to basically be creating this year as Texas Slim, and each one of you out there can now be the modern day cattleman. The type of education that I've been bringing was a lot of food intelligence, the importance of dense, pure animal protein, when in my eyes is Texas beef. But moving forward, each individual out there that participates within the Beef Initiative is going to be able to have the information, the intelligence, the education to call themselves the modern day cattleman. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're open source. We're a collection of ideas. We're a collection of education. We're a collaboration that is decentralized. And that's the fascinating and the most beautiful aspect of this. We're like a hive, and it's growing. It doesn't have any borders. It's just not a Texas thing. It's not a U.S. thing. It's not a U.S. and Canada thing. This is an international lifestyle that's based on value for value. Our podcast has been basically engineered in a way to serve podcasting 2.0 with the helps of Adam Curry. He basically helped our team, Mr. Robot, Def, Talking Bits, June, a few others, understand how you can basically stream content now in a decentralized way. And if you find it valuable, you can give back. You can stream sats. You can stack sats. You can boost programs based on that value. So I asked you before, why are you here? What are your intentions? This is not for entertainment purposes. It's basically for education that can come across in an entertaining kind of way. I tell people all the time is that we're going to turn pop culture on top of its head. most of pop culture these days is based on lies and deceptions. I believe it was in Georgia. I looked out onto the crowd and I said, it's time to quit validating the deceptions. And I told everybody that I'm basically going to be living rent free in your heads. Some of you are going to love me and some of you are going to hate me. And that's my purpose, is because if you're not believing in what we're doing, then I get to ask you, then what is your intent? My intent is to save children's lives that are being lost. Can you imagine being 5 to 11 years old in one of the wealthiest nations this world has ever seen, and to have a checkup and to be told, probably not even be told, but have the awareness that you're metabolically bankrupt as a little child? You wouldn't even know what that means. What we have going on now, we have between 10 and 20 doctors that kind of give me feedback, patients, what they're seeing in their doctor's offices. Whenever you have a nation of 5 and 11-year-olds that are now 46% of us are either obese or overweight, diabetes, going to diabetes. We have children that are under the ages of 18 that are coming into doctor's office and they are being tested for liver disease, fatty liver disease, which is usually for a man in his 70s that have been drinking his whole life. We have a problem in how those children got to where they're having to answer to these issues in their lives, that innocence. They're helpless. Well, how they got there is by the adults. Every one of us is guilty of this. This is not a shame game right now. This is a obligation and accountability time. So I ask you, what are your intentions to follow I Am Texas Slim? Is it to say I am Texas Slim? Is it to say because I'm here to save children's lives? Or do you need to go watch your Netflix episode of whatever is on Netflix? This is going to be based on truth, transparency, honesty, and a collective spirit that we're shaping within the Beef Initiative. Yeah, it's about getting beef delivered to you. It's about so much more than that. It's about creating an international lifestyle that is now based on value for value exchange, nothing else. If you don't find this valuable, you don't have to participate. If you find it valuable, we want your time, we want your talent, we want your treasure. And I allow you to let me know, let the Beef Initiative team know, what is your time, talent, and treasure? We have our Substack, texasslim.substack.com. You can reach out to us through there. There's contact email. You can contact Sean. Sean Nojo, Nojo @gmail.com. SHAWN. What you can do is I want to be a part of the Beef Initiative. Let us know what your time, your talent is. If all you have is your treasure, if you want to give back, donate Bitcoin, donate fiat, we've got those channels set up to where you can do that. The Beef Initiative was started with zero money, no venture capital funding whatsoever. Well, I've been able to get here in 3 years by hustle, by grit, and by hitting the road, putting these boots on the ground and not knowing where I was going. I don't even know where I'm spending the night tonight. I knew that I had to get to Austin, Texas tonight to film this podcast. I'll get in my pickup truck and I'll start driving north up to the Texas Panhandle. I'll find some small Texas town, one horse town, and I'll get a cheap motel. And that's usually when I can lay my head down. It's okay, I get to sleep tonight. I don't have a name on a rent. I don't have a name on a mortgage. I've told people this, and I believe it's Georgia. I have a name on a cell phone bill is pretty much all I've got right now. Everything else is by the goodwill of you guys, by my family members, those that have come, and those that have gone during this time, these 3 years. Today, I had a very close cousin drop dead. He dropped dead. He gave his service to the military. He has a family. He was in his 70s, very healthy, a God-fearing man, dropped dead of a massive heart attack. And I'll just say this, he didn't have heart disease. So there's a lot of nefarious things going on in this nation. One of them is our food. We're poisoning ourselves. We're poisoning our children. Get to the source of the seed of the solution. The source of the seed of the solution is dense, pure animal protein. If it's not through the Beef Initiative, look into your local community, find those people, develop relationships with them, see who they are, ask why they do what they do, support them, quit validating the deceptions. Start realizing that most of our animal protein, especially beef in this nation, the majority of it is not being consumed or even being offered to the United States citizens anymore. The multinational corporations are selling our protein overseas while we import subpar protein into this nation, and that's what's showing up on our grocery stores. That cellophane, that plastic wrap that is overpriced, that is price manipulated. It's time to develop a new market access, and that's what those people that are out there in your communities or through the Beef Initiative. You can have a digital handshake or you can have one in person. That's why we've stewarded the Beef Initiative in the direction that we have, is to give you those options. So what are you doing? What are you going to do moving forward? What relationships are you going to build? When are you going to say, I am Texas Slim, and be proud of that? It's up to you. These are the intentions of this man sitting right here, right now. I'm going to go. I'm going to keep on doing what I've done for the last 3 years. I ask that you join in, support I Am Texas Slim, support the Beef Initiative, support our scholarship foundation program, support the movement that's going international. It's an international lifestyle. It's based on value for value. Let's all look in the accountability mirror moving forward. I believe that things are going to get a little bit more rough before they get a little bit more smooth. But we don't have to validate the deceptions anymore. Come along with me. I am Texas Slim.